Hello there, this is your favorite host, Magna Faith, and of course, I'm coming to you from Silver Spring in Maryland, in the United States of America. Nigeria is on heat. Nigeria is on fire, and I'm so excited you're going to be sitting here with me to talk about this. Can you kindly just tell me a little bit about who you are?
Sure, Magna. I'm honored to be here. I'm Douglas Burton. I'm a freelance journalist now. I've spent a career in print journalism and working for the State Department in Iraq. And in the last few months, I've got very interested in terrorism in Nigeria because it looks so much like the terrorism I've been writing about in Iraq and Syria. But ISIS is no longer in Iraq and Syria, but it's alive and well in Nigeria. The fact is that most of the Christians who lived in Iraq have been forced out, and that's a great shame because it's one of the great refuges of Christianity in the world. Christianity was in Iraq in the 2nd century, but now there's only about 150,000 left because of the terrible persecution. But Nigeria has 90 million Christians, and I don't want to see the same thing happen there.
Nigeria has 19 million Christians. With me is Douglas Burton, and of course, your favorite host, Magna Faith. We're coming to you from the United States of America. I'd like for you to sit back, and we'll be right back. I just wanna love you day after day, day after day, day after day. I just wanna praise you day after day, day after day, day after day. I just wanna love you day after day. Oh. What's going on? What information do you have?
Well, the insurgency in Nigeria is not new. It's been going on for years, maybe 20 years, but it is much worse now than it was 4 years ago. There are large numbers of people who are getting kidnapped. That's happening all over this big country, the most heavily populated country in Africa. And there are 4,000 people who've been kidnapped already. Many of them are still trying to get their families to ransom them out. One state senator said that over the last 9 years, there have been 11,000 people killed in Zamfara state alone. It is really a calamity of huge proportions.
Wow, now the kidnappings are common. Many commuters are afraid to drive from Abuja to Kaduna, yes. And people are afraid of being kidnapped. People are afraid of being taken. Children are being taken away from their mothers. Husbands are being taken away from their wives and their families. So tell me, I want to know more about the situation. What facts do you have? Do you have any recordings? Do you have any? What do you have? Do you have any report from indigents? Or the armed forces in Nigeria?
There's lots of evidence in Nigerian media, although I think the real causes of this conflict are not fairly and honestly reported. Yes, there are many reports of survivors of kidnapping, and these include high officials as well as churchmen. In fact, just yesterday, May 6th, a very high bishop of the Lutheran Church of Christ of Nigeria was kidnapped in his home in Maiduguri, so it's very widespread, and it's bothering everyone in the country. The country is really spiraling into a huge crisis. Yeah, so there is evidence, but unfortunately, the American media is not covering this story as it should be.
And that's a very, 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 very important part of our conversation. But before we get into how international media is reporting or covering these stories, I want to find out, because I know that viewers around the world are sitting here wondering why we're having this conversation now. They know that I always sit here to talk about great things, beautiful stories, amazing things, positive stories. But here I am, Magna Faith, discussing the upheaval, the unrest that is taking place in Nigeria. And I remember when I spoke with you over the phone, and I heard, the sense of urgency in your voice. And I said, Dog, I appreciate, your concern for, the people of Nigeria. I appreciate, your heart in, covering the story. Why are you interested in highlighting this particular story? And why do you want mainstream media, whether in the United States of America or around the world, to begin to talk about, the upheaval and the unrest that is taking place in northern part of Nigeria?
Oh, it's a good question, Magna. Well, frankly, having spent some time in the State Department, I'm concerned about the alliance between the United States and Nigeria. There's almost $500 million of aid going to Nigeria this year, and this is a very important alliance. If this state becomes a failed state in Africa, the disease could spread to many other countries. It could result in more terrorism coming to the United States. And frankly, I'm worried about genocide against Christians. I saw this happening firsthand, or beginning while I was in Iraq, and since I left, I wrote dozens of stories about the removal and the persecution of Christians in Iraq, and I don't want to see the same thing happen in West Africa.
Mr. Barton, I'd like for you to sit tight. We're going to go on a quick break, and then when we return, we will be talking about, United States of America covering the story of, the insurgents, the upheaval, the unrest, the killings, the massacre that is taking place in northern part of Nigeria. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Magna Faith, and with me on set today is Douglas Burton, and we're talking Nigeria War Report. Now, Mr. Douglas, right before we went on a quick break, we were talking about, the insurgents. We were talking about, the upheaval and how that, that media is not necessarily given, the war in Nigeria as much coverage as should be. And I remember saying that, the Boko Haram terrorists are well armed with, AK-47 assault weapons, and the Islamic terrorists in the west of Nigeria are armed with rifles and machetes. A senator in the national parliament yesterday said that in the last 9 years, the insurgency has killed 11,000 people and orphaned 44,000 children in his state alone. Now, that's the senator speaking now. And that some observers say Nigeria could become a failed state. That's reiterating what you said earlier on.
Yes.
Now, with all of these facts, why is media not covering the stories?
That's a good question. There could be several reasons. One is the genocide against Christians, if I may say, it's far away. Number two, there aren't many Americans involved. And number three, some people believe there might be a slight prejudice in mainstream media against stories about Christians, period.
So are you insinuating that Christians are the only ones that are being killed in all of this?
No, I would say, according to the sources we've talked to and according to what we've read, the Christians are typically the majority of the people being murdered, but there's banditry and there's terrible ethnic cleansing all over the country, and Muslims are also victims. But the fact is that many of the armed bandits and the ISIS-related group, it's targeting Christians.
Right. So now we have a viral video released in Nigeria, that was released in Nigeria last week. And it is said to be a mob of militia and ragtag bandits celebrating in the desert of Zamfara in the northwestern Nigeria. And, with all kinds of weapons, machetes, and nobody's saying nothing about it. And it's a viral video. However, mainstream media is not talking about it. What you think about that?
That's understandable because this video hasn't been claimed by anyone. We don't know who made it. It is a fascinating and kind of a shocking 2-minute video, and that's why I've been doing research on it. It shows a variety of soldiers. Some are informally dressed. Some look like they're possibly gangsters. Some might be vigilantes. We don't know if these are Fulani militia doing ethnic cleansing or if they're part of the Islamic State of West Africa, as is the opinion of Senator Coyote. But either way, it's clearly that these men are kind of out of control, and they're very violent, and we see smoke everywhere, and it looks like they've just made a big attack and killed a lot of people. And
Right, right. I would like for our viewers around the world to take a look at this clip, and then we'll go back and discuss the same. Now, take a look at this.
Let's go there. Gama Zampara, dan buro bannan. Gama Zampara. Wallahi. Allah nake ba ku labari. Mun ciwo su ba su ba kayan su dan buro bannan. Ina iskan Zamfara suna ina. Ina iskan Zamfara dan Allah. Ina iskan Zamfara. Ina iskan Zamfara. Ina iskan Zamfara. Ina iskan Zamfara. Dan buro bannan ba su ba kayan su. Allah ba su ba kayan su. Allah na ga maka iskan Zamfara ko. Yan iskan Zamfara ba su ba kayan su. Allah nake ga muku Allah. Wallahi ko ba su ba kayan su. Ba su yawa duk ƙarya ne. Wallahi duk ƙarya ne. Allah duk ƙarya ne. Oka duk ƙarya ne na baka labari. Allah guduwa suke sarkin yaƙi. Wallahi kwa duk labari ne. Wallahi duk labari ne sun ga mu sun gudu. Wallahi sun ga mu sun gudu. Allah ya iskan Zamfara ba su yawa. Wallahi tallahi ya iskan Zamfara ba su yawa.
The United States media not covering this story.
well, there's three reasons. Question. Well, first off, it's far away. Number two, there aren't many Americans involved, even though there's up to 1 million Nigerians who live in the United States, but they aren't saying much about it. And number three, it's very difficult to get and expensive to get reporters to go into these dangerous rural areas in Nigeria. That's why we're not seeing the West do so much coverage.
Now, from this video, Dog, what do you think? Who do you think? I mean, from your analysis of the people that are in the video, and the weapons that they are carrying, and their outfit, and their language, what's your description of these people?
Well, my first reaction was these are not regular Army troops, because we see some guys are in Army fatigues, some have partial uniforms, some have full fatigue uniforms, and some are carrying poaching guns, some are just carrying machetes. So we see a variety of dress and people. It looks like there are civilians or maybe mercenaries in this. It looks like everyone's excited, and you see a lot of smoke in the area. So maybe there are burning houses, maybe there's burning things that have been attacked, and the man who's speaking in the video is obviously really hyper. I can't tell if he's on drugs or if he's just excited.
Right. I mean, there's no saying of obviously for you to engage in stuff like this. There's a possibility that that they could be on drugs, but more importantly, there's been news that some of these people come from neighboring countries or cities outside of Nigeria, which would include Chad, Niger, and Cameroon and more. Now,
Let's go there. Gama Zampara, dan buro bannan.
and those ones will carry weapons like AK-47 and pump action and the rest of them. But with this video, I see them carrying den guns. I see them carrying, machetes, and so their weaponry is not as sophisticated, and that's why I could suggest that it could be banditry, and maybe a combination of some terrorists who are laying fallow, and so from this, how do you expect the people of Nigeria to respond to such a video?
Well, it's up to the people of Nigeria to draw their own conclusions about who these people are. It seems that for now, Nigeria is in the fog of war, or the smoke of war, and we don't know who these people are. They might be, some people think they might be vigilantes who are actually going after the bandits or trying to protect their communities. But most of the people I've talked to think that they are terrorists, and possibly working with or merging with mercenaries, and possibly with the Islamic State of West Africa. That's the opinion of the former minister, Fani Coyote.
Right. So do you have an idea about how and why the Nigerians in the diaspora are not necessarily pressing the United States government to intercede, or not to intercede, but to like engage with the Nigerian government to ensure that this mayhem, is brought to, resolve?
That's a very good question, Magna, and I hope that you, as a Nigerian American, can answer that question. I have visited some of the churches, and there are dozens of Nigerian immigrant churches in the Washington, D.C. area, and it's not been mentioned at any of the worship meetings I've attended. I hope that would change, because it would make a lot of difference if Nigerian church representatives would speak up. Because after all, a threat to the human rights of any person in the world, as Martin Luther King taught us, is a threat to all of us, isn't it?
It is, absolutely. It is a threat to all of us, and it's imperative that people need to speak up. People need to speak up. The only reason why, the international community is not necessarily, activated, or, and, being very, very aggressive about, covering this story is because the people of Nigeria, whether at home or in the diaspora, are lackadaisical and nonchalant about, this very, very serious issue. Now, I remember when the crisis in New Zealand, or the attack in New Zealand, occurred. I remember seeing the international community, responding swiftly. What do you think about that?
Well, good point. I mean, it's obviously a disparity and an imbalance in the way these two catastrophes, these two tragedies have happened, and it's been noted by some people in the media.
Do you think it's because the people who were attacked were Muslims? Do you think that's why they got more response?
That's for analysts and political commentators to make a judgment. In fact, I'm chiefly a reporter, and I just want to get the facts out there and let the American people make their own decision. Unfortunately, until now, so far, the basic facts of this very broad persecution, this terrible, devastating ethnic cleansing, this what many people say is actually a genocide against Christian farming people, it hasn't been reported. So I'd like to see that happen. And then I'd make one final point. The group Save the Persecuted Christians has recommended that the White House appoint a special envoy to West Africa, because this problem of ethnic cleansing is not only in Nigeria, but it's in many countries, including Cameroon and Chad and Niger. And the special envoy would bring with him a whole suite or a big staff of intelligence professionals, people from the Department of Defense, who could help the Nigerian government and other governments use their resources productively.
We're pressed for time, but Doug, I would like to know, have you been in contact with anyone on ground in Nigeria? Have you been able to hear directly as a reporter? Have you been able to contact or get stories, personal stories from victims in Nigeria?
Well, as a matter of fact, in the interest of bringing the story home, I've developed a network of contacts in Nigeria, and I found that it was easy to call them with my own cell phone. I just spoke a few minutes ago to a Catholic priest in Maiduguri, which is one of the embattled states in northeast Nigeria, and that's Father Lawrence Ike, and his parish has been attacked many times by Boko Haram, and in fact hundreds of people in his parish have lost their lives. So he was able to reassure me that although Boko Haram is attacking elsewhere in that state, his parish is calm and is secure for now. But I found that just about anyone in the United States who wants to can call someone in Nigeria who's in harm's way and pray directly with them, hear their report, and these reports from primary sources can get the news of terrorism into the mainstream media. Open Doors are connecting people to this tragedy, and Save the Persecuted Christians has organized Zoom calls whereby people in the United States are praying directly with persecuted Christians, not only in Nigeria, but in China and in also Egypt and Pakistan, all over the world. That's a very good sign. That's a very good thing. So we have to just, put our shoulders to the plow and make this happen.
Yes, so thank you very much for Prayer Network, and thank you for your time on the set here. We just talked about Nigeria War Report, and we'll be bringing more stories in the future. Until then, I'm Magna Faith, and I'll see you next time.
When I was lost, you found me, Lord. What can I say? What can I do? What can I give for all you've done? Day after day, I just wanna praise you. Day after day, day after day, I just wanna love you. Day after day, day after day, day after day, I just wanna praise you. Day after day, day after day, day after day, I just want